Hi all, welcome to my UEFA Moments predictions video. Now I am predicting, because the team of the tournament may not happen, we may get something completely different and actually something quite exciting to look forward to. Something pre-team of the season. It's not a given, but it's just an idea regardless nonetheless. It is just a concept idea, and I'll explain as the video goes on about this. So if you can smash links, would be awesome. Sub to the channel if you're new, follow me on Twitter at G as a legend. All the links are down below for posting the channel and social media links as always. Now as you can tell, there is a lot of the usual cards that you will see, obviously Ronaldo, Messi, but the point of this is UEFA Moments is players from Champions League and UEFA Europa League. Now I've just used the SBC card that was about for it, and like for different leagues, different tournaments as it were. Now you could easily do like the team of the week moments card, but just do a slight variant on that, and then release put like the Champions League and Europa League say logo on it, but just do slight colour changes in each one. Now like players like Alisson, it's for the like either individual saves in games, like Alisson's like save against Napoli, very notable, or even for like being the goalkeeper of that year. It's achievements like that. So like with Godin, he was one of the players of the season the year Atletico Madrid won the Europa League a couple of years ago. Vertonghen for his individual performances last year. Pepe for his runs when he was at Real Madrid, for example. It's elements like that. Iniesta for numerous performances at Barcelona. So, and what I've tried to do as well is give significant boosts around. I've not tried to be like, oh, it's just minor upgrades. It's trying to be significant where we can. So, like Alisson, I'm not going to make him like a team of the year or team of the season. It's something that would be just below it. So a 93 rate seemed fair. Godin being 94 rated, I thought that's kind of what he may be, due to what performances he did that year. Maybe not a given, but it's a significant boost nonetheless. And end of the day, it's just a prediction, so you never know. Vertonghen may be higher, but I thought basing it around his like performances that season, because he was 90 rated, so I thought 91 seemed about right. Pepe was around 90 rated for that kind of time then, but I thought go 91, give him a bit more of a juice. Iniesta 95 rated seemed about fair. And obviously he's got a flashback card, and I thought, let's make, if he was to get given another special card, make it even more appealing. And in all honesty, I would really want that card. Then it becomes even more usable, I would say, even though it's got 99 pace, 99 passing, 99 dribbling. You just got to work on other elements. Modric, for obviously he was like player of the year a couple of years ago for Real Madrid, and close to the 80 plus club. I think if you can find the little gaps to try and improve the physical further, then fair play. Tadic for last season, but Ajax could have one of like countless players. They could end up with Van de Beek, they could end up with Ziyech, Neres, even Onana, and like you never know. It depends how you do it. Giroud for his he was top goal scorer in Europa League the year Chelsea won it, so that would be quite a nice card. Falcao, another one that kind of falls in that bracket, and definitely looks a much more usable card. Been unlucky not getting in for him, funnily enough, this year, but can't knock it regardless. Ronaldo and Messi, obviously been top goal scorers and like player of the season for the Champions League and all this type of stuff. So it's like, if you're going to do like a UEFA Moments kind of like promo, you want to say, well, it's hard to kind of ignore them. Plus, Ronaldo doesn't really have that many special cards. He's got plenty of room to work with still, so you could easily give him another special card just to kind of juice up a promotion before team of the season. And Messi kind of just put him in line with the player of the month card, just maybe adjust the position. If anything, you could maybe put him to centre forward if you really wanted. Then it just suddenly makes the cards a bit more expensive. I just kept him right wing, just adjusted stats very very slightly. De Gea, another player that could happen, or you could go elsewhere. But then I was like, you could go Neuer or Courtois to change things up. But depends what you're going for criteria. Do you do one a team? Do you do and it gets trickier. So plus goalkeepers don't generally get attention in this in the promotions this year, so you may easily get no goalkeepers. So keep that in mind. I've went goalkeepers just to at least give some attention. Manolas, obviously for the goal for Roma when he scored against Barcelona. Then Grimaldo, very impressive performances at Benfica. A couple of years ago he was part of the defensive team of the season, and I thought that may help in his favour. And I would imagine like you're trying to cover different leagues as well, so that kind of helps. But I wouldn't be surprised if like small leagues, like say the Czech league for example, like maybe like a Slavia Prague or a Sparta Prague or a Plzeň was the sneak one, or even like Ukraine. Like, but I was struggling to kind of maybe like Marlos would be an example, but these guys could easily be SBCs. Eric Bailly for Man United. Anyone from, there's about half a dozen players from Manchester United on top of De Gea that could happen. You could have a Mkhitaryan for one season. You could have Ibra if you really wanted. You could go Romero. Like there's plenty of flexibility in Manchester United. And a lot of it stems from a few years ago when they beat Ajax in the final. But that season in collective, and like I was keeping away from Rashford basically. Was another example when he first burst in the scene against Midtjylland. Luis Gustavo, very impressive the season that Marseille won the Europa League. I kept away from Payet. That's kind of why I would have had Payet in, but I thought because he has a scream and an inform, I thought Luis Gustavo has nothing, so let's give him a special card. Same applies with Giuliano in his time in Russia and Turkey especially. He was very impressive in Europe. In one of the seasons he was actually top goal scorer, which I didn't realise. But it was easy to forget as well. But he could easily be given a pretty decent special card. He always seems to end up with a special card like every FIFA that he's been in anyway, so it would be quite neat. Carlos Bacca would almost be like a flashback type almost. You could even do like a flashback UEFA cards as well if you wish. I know 89 rate is maybe a bit overkill, but the season I think that he ran right in Europe would kind of maybe justify it. So like a plus 10 upgrade, or you could maybe even just go like 87 or 88 potentially, but you're trying to make some cards that aren't necessarily usable a bit more usable as it were. Then Origi obviously for last season seems most logical, and probably just be around the same stats that you had for the man of the match, the 86 last year. Jackson Martinez, another player that was very impressive in the Champions League and Europa League for Porto respectively, kind of like how Falcao was, and so would definitely deserve a spot, or be at least close to a spot I would imagine, maybe even as he could be an SBC type player. Bakambu for Villarreal, very impressive stints in the Europa League. Koke, very impressive, he was part of the team that won for Sevilla, and would definitely be someone that could be given a decent upgrade, especially since you're trying to think of like defensive upgrades, and especially in the final against Liverpool he was very impressive, so that could help in his cause. And Andres, another player that was impressive in many a season in the Europa League for Bilbao. That helped him like last year, how he had a flashback, so you're trying to give him an even juicier card. Say this year, that's kind of why he is 89 rated. So you could easily be given a squad of say 23, and then you potentially could do say 3 to 5 SBCs, and then maybe do your UEFA Moments objective for the Champions League and a UEFA Moments objective for the Europa League, so it gives you 2 objectives throughout the week. So all told you maybe have say 30 players, and then it'd be a fun promotion for a week. Just something different, like keeps us entertained. And yes, there's a lot of high rated cards, but in all honesty you've kind of got to do something pre-team of the season that kind of gets people a little bit excited, and some of these cards look at least a little bit fun. Like for me personally, I quite like the look of like Giuliano, Gustavo, De Gea, Alisson, and then Iniesta would be a bit of fun, and then you just take it from there. Like Bakambu would be quite a nice card to have just a little bit of fun with as well, because it's a nice boost, and even like Eric Bailly as well. But let me know folks, as I said, this is just a concept idea, where it starts say this Friday, next Friday, hard to say, but it's just a concept idea. I'll tweet about it as well. Tweet the objective and SBC cards just as an idea. But let me know, folks, as I said, what your thoughts on this. If you'd like this, smash like as always, sub to the channel if you're new, follow me on Twitter, legend, and I'll catch you all later.